Hey guys, well, voting has officially closed on the semi-final round of the Reaction and Review Tournament of Doom, and I'm going to tell you guys, I genuinely thought that these two pairings were going to be a hell of a lot closer, but I am kind of sort of getting, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here. Why don't I first show you guys once more the bracket and just sort of show you how everything is shaped up to this point. Now, it is time to see which two films out of our final four are going to be fighting to become episode 400. Dead Hooker in a Trunk versus Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. Now, as I stated earlier, I genuinely thought that this thing was going to be really close, especially since Dead Hooker walked out with the closest win in the entire tournament. However, I also know that Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer kind of sort of, walked away with everything. So I didn't know, everything up to this point. So I didn't know how this one was going to turn out. I was not expecting an almost 500 vote difference between the two. And yet that is exactly what we have here, and because of that, Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer is moving on to the final round. Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2 and The Last Unicorn. I really was not expecting guys, was not expecting this one to be a whole lot of a challenge, especially since in the previous rounds, Godzilla had wiped out major properties in previous rounds by beating a Superman film and beating a Star Trek film. So I kind of sort of thought it was going to be an easy go here. However, a lot of people were kind of stunned when the Last Unicorn beat out the Ravens. So that one there was totally ready for a massive upset. And that is exactly what we got. I want you guys to look at that. There's over 2,000 votes difference between the two films. And what makes this a little bit suspect to me is the fact that the Facebook post, which had the surveys, only got about 400 views, which tells me that either somebody found the survey and they put it on like a message board or Twitter and got tons and tons of people to vote, or in a slightly more realistic level, somebody probably had like a couple of free days and just spent all of their free time voting for The Last Unicorn again and again and again, which is totally fine because I have always said vote early, vote often, and I mean that. If you guys seriously want these things to win, go in and vote 30 times or vote a couple thousand times. But yeah, guys, either way, when all was said and done, our other finalist was shockingly The Last Unicorn. And thanks to that, guys, we now have our finals all lined up, and now it's time to take a look at those. Fighting for first place, the movie that will be reviewed for episode 400 of Reaction and Review will either be Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer or The Last Unicorn, and the loser between those two is going to be reviewed for episode 399. Fighting for third place is Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2 and Dead Hooker in a Trunk. The loser there will be reviewed for episode 397. And guys, I'm also adding in something a little bit special here. I have decided to also allow everyone to vote for 5th place. Now which movies are up for 5th place? Why, all 12 losing films, naturally. And not only is the top vote getter here going to be 5th place, I'm also going to review the next 4 highest vote getters for episodes 401 through 404. So, you guys are basically scheduling an entire month's worth of reaction and review with your vote. Voting here is once more going to be done on the Reaction and Review Facebook page. Voting here is going to be for 1 month. So I am going to give you guys a chance to vote as often as possible. I would really like to see what here is going to be going up for episode 400, and I know a lot of you are wondering exactly when episode 400 is going to be going up. Well, episode 400, as well as every other film you guys are voting on right now, will all be seen, at least as of right now, March of 2015. And I'm hoping to see every single one of you guys there when we see which movie is going to be reviewed for episode 400.